Balotelli. Aguero! Staggering!
Most Jamaicans can never forget this moment, yet most Jamaican Premier League fans are used to a moment like this one.
Oh, he puts it away! Victory for the Stars of the East!
Yeah, that is 2001-2002 Jamaican Premier League champions Harbour View, and they got to this championship after finishing 6th in the league and moved their way up through the playoffs to victory. So you know what's coming next is the debate as old as time. It's the whole question of league tally versus playoffs to determine the Jamaican Premier League champions. With the 2003-2004 playoffs and championship run coming up for this current season, the whole question of what is a best representation and what defines a proper champion raises its head again. Mount Pleasant were by far the best and most consistent team in the league this year, but they will still have to navigate themselves through at least 3 matches to get that championship ring. So is this the proper way to determine a champion? Well, let's look at the pros and cons of it all. In the straight format that has been done to death in Europe for over nearly a century, you get gripping moments like what's going on in the current EPL race, where you have probably one of the most excited race to the finish, where Liverpool, Manchester City and Arsenal are scrapping for each and every point to the finish. Well, you also have things like what happened in the Bundesliga in previous years gone by, when Bayern Munich has won 10 in a row. The argument for points tally to determine a champion could be made that it allows that every single matchup, every single game, every single minute counts and matters to the players, to the coach, to the fans. Any wrong move in any game can cost you a valuable point that kicks you out of any chance of winning the title. So it does breed some competitive ground, most will argue. But the drawback to this, of course, is that if you are a most powerful, all-spending, all-expensive team, you can cripple your competition and just run away with the title. And not just after one season, but after 4 or 5. Can you imagine more pleasure with Mr. Gould backing them, this simply winning 6 or 7 in a row? How would that do for the product on the JPL and of course for fans of the other teams? On the opposite corner, of course, is the playoff system, and as I mentioned before, Harbourview and so as many others has found themselves not having the greatest or most consistent season, but yet can sneak into the playoff and go all the way to win it all. It does bring in question if this is fair on the team that has done all the gritty work, all the consistent work to get themselves to the top of the table. Just last season, where Tika Davis was mentioning that he was not too happy, Arne Guns were the regular season champions, but he had nothing to show for it. I remember in my youth, the top team usually get some monetary reward, and while there's no official announcement this time, there is some rumors that Mount Pleasant will be collecting $1 million for winning the regular season. Cash is good, but it's not something to show the prestige. It's not something to put in the trophy cabinet. Do they deserve at least a trophy to represent them, just like what the MLS does with their regular season champions by giving them a shield? Or should we go a step further and actually crown them champions? I actually went ahead and proposed this question to y'all in my community, and majority of you guys actually stated that you prefer the current playoff system to determine your champions in the JPL. Again, not that surprising, honestly, as it all comes down to culture. Many have stated after seeing the empty stadium for the Reggae Boys home matches that they just simply pointed down to the fact that Jamaica just don't have a football culture. We don't breed and die football like we see in Europe or in South America. So what do the league need to do to drum up big support and carry it up to a spectacle is, of course, we as Jamaicans like the idea of a final. It's no surprise there, we did have at one point in the league 2 end-of-round finals before the final to crown the champions. And of course, many of us grew up in appreciating the Costa Cup and Money Cup finals, where a lot of spectacle is unfolded on the grand stage at the National Stadium. It's just what we do. But it does bring into question that how much does the regular season actually matters? Does every game matter? A team can sit in third and let's be content in being third without pushing for first, knowing that a third place spot or even second place spot get them that cushy spot in the playoffs anyway. Well, the one counter to that is that there do exist couple factors in play to help, illuminate some of that fear. One, of course, is there is relegation in this league. The bottom 2 will get down to tier 2, so you have to get points to avoid that. as well as the top 2 does get a bye past the quarterfinals into the semi-finals. That gives you, an extra step closer to glory land. Not to mention, it seems that CONCACAF has stepped in to help a bit, and the top 3 in points tally that seems to be going to the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup as well. But all that does not end the fact that a team can just get on a hot streak in the last 9 months of the season and find their way all the way to the top of the title. While the one that's been most consistent all year don't necessarily have anything for show for it, especially if they get knocked out in the first round. But another point to defend all those that believe this is the best format for the JPL is the fact that not all teams are always on equal ground throughout the entire season. Yes, we have a balanced schedule. There is 26 games home and away for both teams, but there's a caveat in that sense that there's home and away. There are at least 2 or 3 teams that have never played at home this season at all, while there are teams that have to give up home matches if they want to get on TV for double headers. Not necessarily the most fierce of ground. Not to mention, this is a semi-pro league moving on to a fully professional league, which means that players will always be seeking for greater opportunities in greater pastures, which means that any given weekend a team can be missing their most promising or best player because he's away on trial. So when you're taking all those factors in, it's very difficult to say the team that ends with the most points at the end of the season is necessarily the one that deserves it. Not to take away from NSV more pleasant, they still did the dirty work and they still came out on top. You do understand when you look on the English Premier League and other European clubs go straight points tally, all things are basically equal somewhat. Every team misses players for the international window. Most players are actually in place when the league is going on, and most teams are relatively close somewhat in some cases in quality. And again, you only can vote with your wallet, and if you look at the previous playoffs, especially the last 2 seasons when everything is held at Sabina Park, it's just a different atmosphere that comes about. Each playoff rounds in the playoffs in the last couple of seasons has been electric, so the fans are showing that this is the way they want to go. So it seems the playoff system is here to stay, and and whoever wins it this year, regardless of what points they finish in the top 6, will seem to be the deserved champions. But what do you think, guys? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you believe that this is not necessarily a fair reflection of who is the best team in the island, or we should just simply do away with a grand final to crown our champions and simply have the points tally and then bring by the end of round finals if you want to still get those final atmospheres in the season, or we simply crown a champion from the points tally and just have a separate top 6 cup competition at the end to still give the fans them what they want to come to a big spectacle at the end of the season. What you guys think is a debate that I guess will keep on going, but it is something that got me thinking and I just want to present to you guys since the playoff is again just around the corner. But anyway, guys, as I said, let me know in the comment section below, and that is all I got here at JPL Fan for this video. Again, if you're new here, please like, subscribe and share as we discuss all things here Jamaican Premier League. Again, next time, YouTube, big up yourself.